Welcome to Rural Reflections. Colin Dave, your weekly podcast co-hosted by my brother Dave Nelson in Carrington, North Dakota, and me, Grant Nelson, here at the studios of Thief River Falls Radio. Hello, Dave. How are you doing today?
Hi, Grant. Oh, I'm doing fine. I guess we're isolating and getting ready for Easter without anybody around. So,
you know, the thing about that is that there's such a choice of church services online now. I'm just amazed at it. I mean, there should be a catalog somewhere of all the different church services that are available online. Because last weekend or last night, actually, we were watching a bunch of different stuff on TV. And at the same time, I was watching a Good Friday service down in West Fargo. So it was kind of fun.
I know it's funny because I watched the Good Friday service from St. Bernard's in Thief River.
You did?
And it was just funny because I forget, somebody on Facebook liked it or something, and I thought, oh, hey, I haven't been there for a long time. So that's where I watched it. Mary watched it on Kansas State on their college, like Newman Center Lake place or something like that, because there's a lady here whose brother is the priest at that place. So, yeah, you're right. You can go to church wherever you want to right now.
And then Steve Jelly from Viking, he's a pastor down. I caught his service, I suppose, last Sunday, I think. No, Sunday before I watched him. So it's kind of fun to go ahead and pick and choose from all the different ones out there. Of course, we're talking about COVID-19 has kind of shut down everything. And even there, over at High Plains Equipment, where you're at, you got your doors locked too, don't you?
Yeah, we do. We're being careful. We're not banning everything because we have to keep functioning. So we're taking parts orders to the door and setting them outside for people. Small things that are being repaired, we're setting them outside our door. We're having our doorknobs and keyboards and anything where there's a lot of traffic disinfected a couple, 3 times a day. And yesterday, the main store sent a gallon of corn squeezes to us, I guess. It's 80% ethanol from the ethanol plant in Castleton. They're making hand sanitizer. It's a little rugged. My hands are pretty chapped from all this hand washing, and you can feel a little burn on it. But yeah, it's their contribution to the COVID-19 effort, I guess, and they're providing ethanol mixed with hydrogen peroxide and a couple other things. But there's no aloe vera like you would find in normal hand sanitizer because they can't get any.
Okay.
So it's the active ingredients minus the carrier, basically.
So is it liquid or is it gel?
No, it's very liquid because that's what the aloe vera is. It's for the thickener, and it's also, of course, a little bit of a skin conditioner for you. But this is the stuff that would go into the aloe vera, but they can't get it. So they're sending us the raw materials in gallons.
All the people who produce alcohol, whether they're distilleries or ethanol plants, they're really doing the job of getting hand sanitizer made. Of course, now when this COVID-19 scare will get done eventually, when the pandemic is going to be done, we're all going to have to figure out how to turn all this hand sanitizer back into alcohol,
Yeah, I wonder if you can just take and, I better not say this, but you could probably burn it in your car.
You probably could.
If it was an old one.
Yeah, you could very well probably do that. So, and we're keeping the doors locked here at Thief River Falls Radio too. There's just a couple of us running around in here most of the time, taking care of everything. So it'll be done here soon. We'll get everybody back and get the doors open and get back to some sort of normalcy, at least whatever passes for normalcy at a radio station. So now this is the time of the day when we usually talk a little bit about old equipment, and we're going to leave this one kind of open-ended, but I guess we want to talk a little bit about old pickups. And I guess when we talk about old pickups, we're not talking about 40s and 50s probably so much. Well, maybe late 50s and 60s, that sort of thing. I always think about our dad's old Dodge pickup, the old 3/4 ton that he had. I used to drive that out to Carrington every once in a while, and I used to drive that down to Moorhead to see our brother Daryl when he lived down there, and I'd go down there and help him at the apartment house, and I really liked that 4-speed. Of course, it was a 225, so getting up to 55 miles an hour was a struggle, but it was rewarding, at least the experience of getting there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, they were actually quite a overbuilt thing, you know. I mean, a half-ton pickup back then was a workhorse. A half-ton pickup right now is a kind of a car truck,
Yep.
so to speak.
Yep.
But they were good old trucks and made to do some hard work. That old Ford that Dad had, that thing was the grain truck with 100 bushels of grain in it for many years and hauled. And that old Dodge, I'll never forget when he got it. It was I was surprised that he had gotten something like that, but he said it was in such nice condition and it ran so good and all that, and it turned out that it did. It was a good running old pickup.
Now, you had a Ford you were talking about before we got on the air, one that was like a unit body, right?
Yeah, the box and the cab were all made in one, and it was a 3/4 ton. That one had 17-inch tires on it, and I drove that for several years. And in the wintertime, I would just take a payloader bucket or a couple of loader buckets of snow and just dump in the back and heap it up in the back, and I could go almost through anything with that two-wheel drive pickup. Enough weight, enough clearance with those big tires, just chug along through the snow.
I had a little old Ford, like probably in 1971 or something, way back when, and I had chains on the tires and then a little bit of weight in the back, and I was amazed at what I could go through. It's a matter of traction. I learned that during this last snowstorm. Of course, I had taken all the weight out of the back of my pickup, and I had snowplow on the front, and I was plowing out just a little bit, just a theory. I just kind of backed the snow off and then let it melt. And I got stuck, went down just a little bit of a ditch that I pushed snow into, and I had all that weight on the front, and I couldn't get the transfer to go to the back because I didn't have any ballast. And I'll tell you what, I was helpless. It's amazing how much ballast makes a big difference. Well, you'd know that working with tractors.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing. If you have traction, what you can go through with two-wheel drive or, even cars, people always put a few sandbags in the back or something like that, and just to help them get through the snow and stuff. Nowadays, the cars with traction control and stuff move up against a pile of snow that doesn't give. That tire just doesn't turn,
Yep.
until you turn the traction control off. But, it was pretty cool how you could get around with those old things.
Sure was. Now, you sent me a picture earlier this week that your daughter Sarah had taken of a little baby moose. That was about the cutest thing I've ever seen. Tell me where she found that little guy.
Well, there's actually quite a few moose around here. Everybody around here is just like deathly afraid of moose. They're mean and they're going to do this and that. I said, boy, I lived around them for years. I think you're thinking about the pictures you see of this big old bull moose in Alaska or something, because usually they're quite scared and they can't see and all that. But anyway, we have all kinds of moose around here now. It's not like it was when I was in Minnesota, but you can see them quite often. And this one was a few miles from their place, just northeast of town here, about 12 miles, and they had a bigger one in their yard about a week and a half ago, and they're going to be quite prevalent out here. It's really nice to see, and it's not like they're on the road all the time when you're driving around or anything, but you'll see them coming, scooting out of the end of a cornfield now and then, or they're pretty hard to miss in this flat ground around here. You can see them for a mile away when they're running. So we're getting a lot of them here, and it's probably got to do more with the open spaces that are here. I think the wet, and I don't know, when they were up in our part or around Viking and that, whatever drove around this or out this sickness that they got was probably a result of their surroundings. I don't know, but they sure moved out after they all got sick, and they're out here now where they can't find too many trees to hide behind, but they can pretty much go wherever they want to.
Well, that's good somebody's got them, because I know, like you alluded to, they're not in Minnesota like they used to be, although they just had a DNR survey, and apparently they're stabilizing. So maybe somewhere along the line they'll turn around and start repopulating the area here too. So, Got anything else for us this week there, Dave?
No, I just wish you and everyone that's listening a happy Easter.
That sounds good.
Hope you have somebody to enjoy it with.
Sounds good. Same to you. Thanks very much, Dave. We'll talk to you next week.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. There he is, my brother Dave, on our Rural Reflections Call in Dave podcast here at Thief River Falls Radio.